downtown but on the edge of derelict lands, is a classic example. Now home to 3 well-designed options condos in the heart of what has turned into a high-profile complex of cafes, restaurants and galleries, it's now regarded as the hippest address in all of Toronto.
But it wasn't hip to move into an industrial wasteland, which is what this place was.
Friends of couples like the Bartels said they were crazy. Like other options buyers in the early days, the Bartels had bought on faith. But now that the option suites here at the site now known as the Distillery have increased in value more than other condos in the city, the skeptical friends are changing their tune.
They thought we had some sort of inside information that we weren't sharing. And, you know, that we were just very, very smart and sort of unscrupulous land speculators or something like this.
We go in and we actually put up a modestly priced building, something that's affordable for people, and thus the community starts to see new construction and regeneration and activity, and that changes the view of not only the neighborhood of itself, but the people who move in, and then the community improves and upgrades from there. So we sort of just travel around ahead of the crowd is really what it comes to, and we pick those sites that are not yet seen by the rest of the development industry, and then they follow behind us.
Since then, Options has continued to make news and garner political support at every level. The launch of the Guildwood project in Scarborough in the fall of 2004 brought out representatives from both the provincial and federal governments, who announced that they would be providing over $2 million in loans to help Options lower-income buyers with their down payment.
And I'm incredibly excited about this particular announcement today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an historic event.
John McKay is MP for Scarborough-Guildwood.
And I was very impressed. It struck me as a really intelligent way in which to approach the issue of affordable housing.
David Kaplan, Ontario Minister for Public Infrastructure, says he's often amazed at how good public policy is also good business.
In my business, we look for what we call win-wins. This is win-win-win-win-win for the governments involved, for the providers involved, but most importantly, for the citizens of this province who are going to have a greater access to housing options and greater affordability.
The government loans will augment a loan or second mortgage that Options already provides to help people with their down payments. How this works is fully explained to potential buyers at the information sessions to which they're invited.
The Options contribution, simply put, we're acting like an uncle and we're assisting in your down payment. We're lending you money towards your down payment to help boost your down payment.
And then when the house is sold, you get a percentage of whatever the house has been increased by?
That's right. We take a percentage of the profit margin. Okay. And it's based solely on what we lent you. Yes.
And the Options contribution is through the company, through you?
Yes, that's right.
Privately?
Yes.
Okay.
Because this loan has to be paid off if you sell, the concept is not attractive to speculators.
90% of the people who lives in this building owns the place. And like owners, you take care of the place because it's your home. You want it to look nice for your visitors, your friends.
And there are other pluses, like savings on mortgage insurance fees because the loan allows for a larger down payment. And the increased value of this loan, or second mortgage, which is recouped if the buyer decides to eventually sell, then goes towards creating more housing.
I think this concept is one that's going to sweep the country and be an answer to the housing shortages everywhere.
Penelope Tyndale downsized from a large house in Barrie. She and her husband had scoured the Toronto housing market for a year and a half, but everything they saw needed a lot of work.
Neither of us had a lot of pension money, so we needed to move into a place that we could afford to live in, and hopefully we could afford to live in for the rest of our lives.
Sadly, her husband died just before they were due to move in.
But you know, we had talked, as people do, looking at retirement realistically, that one or other of us could die in the near future, and you have no way of knowing, and that we wanted the home we chose to be able to be lived in by either of us alone, and to be manageable. And so I realized, you know, very quickly after his death that in fact we'd made a good choice. And so many people who visited have said that to me. Oh, that's a wonderful choice that you chose to live here. It's just such a good place for you to be.
When buying a condo, standard practice is that you sign the legal documents before you actually get to read them. Then you have a 10-day cooling off period to change your mind and withdraw from the purchase agreement if you wish. Options takes the pressure off by allowing you to take the legal documents home, as well as this video you're watching, so you can think things over in your own time before you actually sign.
For the $100, right, you'll get this booklet and also the DVDs. All the information regarding this site is inside. You have the legal documents, the financial documents, and the lawyer's information, and also all the floor plans.
My friends that I mentioned it to when I first heard about it said that it sounded too good to be true, so there had to be some sort of hidden catch. And as I looked into it further, I kept on asking that, and yet there wasn't. It was it turned out to be the product of a vision of the founder of Options, and not the first building. So there had been learning along the way, and it turned out to be this miraculous gift.
It's true. When something sounds too good to be true, you can't help but wonder, what's the downside? Well, for some it might be the absence of a model suite, making it hard to envision what a typical suite might look like. But as we've seen, it's one of the factors that contributes to the great value. And people at all stages of their lives have recognized this. They cover the spectrum from young to not so young, single to newly married. There are those on a tight budget and those on a more flexible budget. People building careers to established professionals and empty nesters.
Housing creates community, and what that really means to me is that mixed stock is the way that we have to go in growing our cities and our urban centers. You have to provide affordable homes for a diverse group of the Canadian public. This type of series of homes, and in the 3 buildings we have, achieves that. And when you grow community, you grow people, you grow social aspects, you grow the cultural aspects.
I know, working in many other condos, that you don't have that. That the biggest complaint people have is they feel very isolated in a tower surrounded by thousands of people.
So, Option's success is not just about building affordable homes. It's about building community, a direct result of how Options is set up. Buyers come together as a cooperative to work together with Options, which acts as a development consultant, hiring the expertise to develop the condominium. And in this way, people get to know each other long before they move in.
We met all the people who are going to be our neighbors at the Options meetings. And, we were able to decide, literally, what our building was going to be like.
Strong sense of togetherness because we were the builders.
And this carries over into strong neighborhood associations who continue to have an impact, shaping the kind of vibrant community they envision.
So all space here is going to be planted with trees and with grasses and then here is the sidewalk.
They put time and energy into all kinds of issues that affect their new community, from neighborhood greening to the design of new buildings by other developers slated for the area.
There's a lot of established communities in the city. Here was an opportunity to come in and grow a community from the beginning.
And to watch the value of the suites grow as well, up almost 30% in 2 years at Shermont, for example.
I feel like a very wealthy woman. Because it increased quite a bit.
I'm paying about $100 a month more than I was paying for a bachelor apartment at Yonge and Eglinton, and I have a nice size 1-bedroom.
And there are things that are priceless. When Nan Budding's husband died 4 years after they moved in, she wasn't sure she wanted to stay. Her neighbor's response changed her mind.
There was such an outpouring of support and love. People came with a couple of hams, people came with cakes, people came with all kinds of things. And when we had his memorial, his service in the church, we had 3 benches of neighbors that filled the church. And it was just, for me, it was a turnaround. If I had thought of moving, I decided afterwards, no, I don't move away from him.
And neighbors put up a plaque in his memory above the small library that he started for the condo.
Compared to living in the house we lived in for over 30 years,
We had instant community here.
I think Michael Labbe is a visionary when it comes to options for homes and realizing that he's really putting into action what we all dream about, owning our own home. And I think with his leadership in this area, the possibilities for this extending across the country are endless.